Good day everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are having a good time. I know it's hard with the quarantine, but I hope everyone's okay and making good use of their time. So here today we have another kit review. It's Tamiya's old Russian T-62A. As usual, we'd be looking at the contents of this kit. I did check this earlier and it seems like there are fairly a few amount of parts. So anyway, let's get started. Alright, so here we have the parts for the T-62. There are in total only 3 screws and the rest are big detached parts. So let's start with this one. First up we have the sprue which contains most of the running gear, i.e. the road wheels, the drive sprockets, as well as the idler wheels. We also have here the tank commander figure. Let's try to let that zoom in, and there we go. We have here the tank commander figure, and most of the other parts are for the suspension. Next up we have the upper hull details. We have the hatches, we have the gun mantlet here, the gun which is a 2-piece molded gun, so we're gonna have to eliminate that seam line right down the middle once we put these 2 pieces together. We have the Dushka machine gun that's mounted on top of the turret for the tank commander. We have the searchlight over here, and as well as other smaller accessories for the turrets. Next up we have the rear parts for the tank, mostly the external fuel tanks. We have the unditching lug, which in my previous video about the Russian T-72, that kit also had an unditching lug. We also have a spare track link over here, some stowage bins, and these are the mounting parts for the external fuel tanks. The rest are hatches. These would be the covers for the fuel tanks, and the rest would go on to the back of the engine deck. And yeah, that's basically it. Details are moderately molded in, which is good. Do take note that this Tamiya kit is relatively old. If I'm not mistaken, this was around the 1970s, so keep in mind that there are a few problems with the kit, but it is a good out-of-the-box build. Here we have the upper hull. As you can see, most of it is pretty simply molded. It relatively lacks some surface features, unlike the Russian T-72, which I covered previously, but this is fairly okay already. We have here a already molded spade, which is it's unique that they molded it in, but okay, Tamiya wanted to do so. So most of the mounting points here would be for the headlights, and also yeah, mostly the headlights would be located here. And then the stowage bins, you'd see them mounted over here, here, and mostly on the sides. Here we have the engine deck at the back. And this kit also comes with a solid metal mesh. Over here, let's focus that in. It's a solid metal mesh, kind of like what you see on Tamiya's Leopard 1 kit. So basically you just pop that right in there, or does it go under? Let's see. Yeah, you pop it right under, and you have the mesh there. Then you just put another plastic part up here, and you have the engine deck at the back. So it's pretty nice. It's pretty neatly detailed for an engine deck. Next up we have the turret, and this is where I have received a lot of feedback regarding. So first off, do take note that the Russian tanks are well known for their dome-shaped turrets. And here we have this. It's not a perfect dome, as these parts right here suddenly cut upwards. But as you can see with the box art, that is completely curved. It's curving downwards and it is a dome. Compare it to the turret right here, there's a cut in it. So we're going to have to do some minor surgery with that, just a little putty to straighten the shape out, and that would be all good. Also, another thing, as you can notice, that this turret is smooth. The Russian turrets are in fact cast turrets, so there should be some surface texture to it. And they molded this, or they made this in a smooth turret, so we'd probably do something about that as well. Anyhow, moving on, we have the lower hull, top hull, and as you can see, Tamiya's famous motorization compartments. As it is an old kit, they basically expected you, or gave you the option to fully motorize this. You might be wondering what would be the practical layout for motorization. Basically, you'd have the batteries here, you'd have the switch over here, and you would have your whole motor running compartment here, and ideally the motor rods would be coming out from here. So basically you'd be pulling on the drive sprockets. So how do we illustrate this? The drive sprocket would be here, the motors would be here, the rod would come in and connect with the drive sprocket, and basically it would be a, we can say, rear wheel drive, wherein the drive sprocket would be the one pulling on the entire suspension. So that's how and that's basically how you motorize your Tamiya kits. So fortunately, these are relatively small holes, easy to clean up, and the torsion bars are already molded in. Fair amount of detailing with the bolts, and yeah, that's basically it on the lower hull, nothing too fancy. Next up we have the rubber band tracks. Fortunately enough, these are relatively good in detailing. So you can see that the rear of the tracks are well enough detailed, and they're not those blank rear details. Moving on, we have the polycaps for the running gear, and we have here the decals. Lastly, we have here the manual, and as you can see, since it is, or there are relatively few amount of parts, it's just a simple detailed manual. Very few steps included. And here at the back, let's get this up. Here at the back we have the markings and paintings. So as you can see here, there's one option where you have the divisional marks plus the numbers, and then you have another where you only use a number, and one over here where it's just Russian decal. And at the back you have a variant wherein there's a full variation of camo painting. So that's basically it for the Russian T-62 manual. So, what do I think of this? It's a pretty straightforward build. It's good for out of the box, and for feedback regarding this, I did hear that this particular kit is somewhat out of scale. It's not exactly 1/35, it's somewhere around 1/32. So again, it's good for out of the box, but don't expect it to be that accurate. I mean, there are other brands that do carry the T-62 already, but this particular kit is good for someone starting out with the hobby. I mean, Tamiya is well known for their starter-friendly kits, so this is one that I would recommend if you're looking into modern Russian or somewhat modern Russian tanks, as well as their T-55 and their T-72 tanks. And yeah, that's basically it for this video. I just realized that I already have the T-72 and this T-62. So what I'm lacking right now is the Russian T-55, which Tamiya also has. So once I have it, I'm also going to do a kit review on it. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope everyone is having a wonderful time. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the Russian KV-1 that I covered in last week's video is coming along quite well. So I will be posting a short video on how the progress is already coming along. I am doing the individual or the link and link tracks. I'll do a video on that very shortly. And yeah, that's it for today's video. Hope everyone likes it. If you do, leave a thumbs up, but if you didn't, leave a thumbs down. And also leave comment down below what you think of this tank if you have it, or what you can recommend regarding this tank. And please do subscribe to the channel. It will help me quite a lot to grow this. Thank you all, stay safe, and see you next time. Goodbye.